As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 63 of Zero to Hero. Today, we are joined by Lisa Y. Jones from Lisa Y. Jones Financial Ministries. Her and her husband have an incredible story of paying off massive debt in a short amount of time and truly changing their life and their lifestyle. So let's go ahead and bring her in here and hear about it. Lisa, how are you today?
Hey, Gino, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Excited to talk to you for sure. So
Thank
before we
you.
get into this, tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing with Lisa Y. Jones Financial Ministries.
Yeah, so my husband Keith and I actually paid off $300,000 in 5 years. We tell people that's not a house. It was actually primarily interest on student loans. We had over $100,000 in interest on student loans. And then the next big chunk was a bunch of medical. We both have heavy metal toxicity. His is from Desert Storm. I had a boatload of metal fillings that were leaching into my body and just making me sick. It took us a while to figure all that out, and it was ridiculously expensive. We're still working through that part. I don't count the money anymore because we paid off the debt. So it's like, what's the point? Now we can cash flow without thinking about that part. So that was daunting to do that. We were newly married and didn't know what to do. So we created a framework to get ourselves out. And as with any good framework, you don't know you're creating a framework until you come back and start looking at what you did. And you're like, hey, that's repeatable. I could teach someone to do that, you know? And so we started Lisa Y. Jones Ministries back in 2016 to do that. I am a #1 best-selling author. Yay. Financial Seasons was launched in 2018. Dave Ramsey actually endorsed it. And then in 22, we decided to make the shift from Lisa Y. Jones Ministries into Financially Awakened, which is the business that we are using to carry this message into corporate. So now, in addition to Lisa Y. Jones Ministries, which we work with individuals, we have positioned ourselves to be able to work with small business owners as well as corporations to provide personal financial education to their employees. So that's what we're doing. And Gino, I don't know if you knew this when you scheduled this, but did you know that April is Financial Literacy Month?
I had no idea. I do now. This is perfect timing.
Yeah, very timely. We've been doing a lot of seminars at corporations around Kansas City, helping to do some financial literacy awareness for their staff members. Because the reality is when the staff member is stressed about money, they're not working. They're not working.
Right.
So that's what we're doing these days is helping people from a corporate perspective to increase the value that their team members bring to the table because they don't have to worry so much about their money. So, yeah,
it's hard to leave that at the door when it's constantly on the back of your mind, you know, when you've got these massive debts. So talk a little bit about, and I don't want you giving away the farm. Obviously, we need people coming to you to find these secrets out, but what's some of the, free game to take a line out of Logan Sacer's mouth? What's some of the free game that you can give people, as far as, kind of getting out of that rock of financial debt?
Yeah, we just took on a new client this past weekend. If it's a couple, it's me and my husband. If it's an individual, I typically run that one. And it was interesting because they signed on as clients back in January and we had their first session in April because it took them that long to get their numbers together. And so one of the things that the wife talked about when we were preparing for the session, she was like, I had to run all over the place to find the numbers because they don't have a system. And that's point number one, is you must put yourself in a financial system. We hear system all day long. You know, what is a system? Why do I need one? It just really streamlines what we're doing. It helps us to understand. We can touch things faster. It gives us that 30,000 foot view. And as much as we don't like to say it, the best part of a system is a budget. It just is. We use You Need a Budget. YNAB is the tool that we use. It's also the tool that we recommend to all of our clients. We love it because it uses that zero-based budgeting concept. And zero-based budgeting, for those who are scratching their head on why we would want a zero-based budget, that just means that you give an assignment to every single penny of your money. There is zero money left unaccounted for. I don't know about you, Gino. How many times have you had $100 bill and then you didn't, and you don't know what the heck happened to it? Has that ever happened?
Oh, no, not me. I know where my money's at. But I hear you, right? I mean, maybe it's 20, right? Maybe it's 20.
Right.
The 100. No, I feel you though. Yeah, you misplace those things.
You just don't know, because it doesn't have an assignment. It doesn't have a purpose. And for some people, with inflation, now it's 100. Back in the day, it truly was the 20. That was the thing, you know. And so what we do is help you understand what parameters you want to put around your money. And the thing that we talk about all the time, which was a challenge for us, and this was a part of that framework that we figured out. So this was not how we started. This is how we ended. You don't need to cut everything. You just need to put parameters around everything. So if you still want to play golf, just put it in the budget. If you want to go to Starbucks every day, put it in the budget. We don't tell you what to do with your money. We just help you figure out what you are actually doing with your money. That is huge. So that's a big piece of what we talk about. Some of the free resources, we have what we call a financial reality check. That is what took our client 3 months to fill out because you couldn't find the numbers, right? And so it's a 3-month review of how you've spent your money in the past. And so there's a reason the review mirror is much smaller than your front mirror, your front window in your car, but you need a review mirror in order to make adjustments, make tweaks, see where you've been, what is around you. So that is the very first thing that we recommend people starting with, whether you choose to come in for coaching or whether you're doing this, DIY. It's an aha moment of, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much money on XYZ. We had another couple, this was a few years ago when they came through, and I'm just going to say we don't get this one very often, but they had just paid off a house and they had a good bit of profit. So they had paid off all their debt and their life had a little bit of flexibility to it. And they weren't really sure what to do, right? And so they came to us, and when they went through the financial reality check, they realized they had literally $1,500 a month that had no home. And all of a sudden, retirement planning that was never on the radar before was now something that they could have a viable conversation around, all because they did the financial reality check and began to understand where their money was and what they really could do with it. So we love that.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, just starting with the organization, obviously, and knowing where money is going, right? Yep. But then kind of keying in on those smaller factors, right? Like the Starbucks coffee, right? You don't have to cut it out, but if you're getting it every day, you need to know how much that adds up to at the end of the month and then be able to budget for that, right? So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and for me, I'm not I actually drink tea, but I was a coffee drinker back in the day. And for me, I didn't like how much I was spending on Starbucks, because at the time I was working downtown, it was a nice walk from the office, the whole 9 yards. And so what I chose to do every month in order to stay on budget, I would transfer the amount that we budgeted for my Starbucks. Notice those words there. We budgeted for my Starbucks, right? And so I would move that to my Starbucks app. And once that's done, that's done. So mid-month, I was getting shorts because it was cheaper than a latte, a grande, or venti or whatever. So I was getting a short coffee with a little, steamed half and half or something, so it begins to change what you do. Why? Because you have other plans, you have other tasks, assignments that you want to give to your money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And obviously the awareness factor is there as well, right? Like, hey, my $300 for the month for Starbucks is gone, right?
Right.
So,
and 300
100%.
times 12, that math adds up very quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love what you say about we budgeted for my, right? Because that definitely happens in our house as well. My wife likes to get her nails done. I'm not doing that. I like to go play golf. She's not doing that. So yeah, it's being reasonable, right? It's looking into what do you need, what do you want, secondly, right? And kind of figuring all that out. So I love that. That's absolutely repeatable, like you said as well. So that's beautiful. All right, Lisa, well, let's get into it here. Okay. So not so much about the financial ministries or Fully Awaken, but in a couple of sentences, give us the elevator pitch about you. Who is Lisa White Jones?
Oh man, I am a lover of Jesus Christ. That is first and foremost. And I used to be afraid to say that, Gino. I'm just gonna say, but I'm not anymore because I am unabashedly in a relationship with Jesus. And that is just first and foremost in my life. And I just want to help his people be better in whatever way that is. So I love to cook. And I'm going to, this is what Keith says all the time. He will give you the shirt off his back. He is the natural giver in our relationship. I'm going to keep my shirt and I'm going to help you get yours, right? So we all need to be clothed. Nobody needs to be going around half naked. So
everybody's got to have a shirt on. Let's go.
So I'm your ride or die girl. I'm the one that's going to be in the trenches with you. I'm going to help you do whatever that is. I'm thinking about, I'm praying for you, working with you in whatever way that I can. And that's what I do. I'm very passionate about whatever it is that I put my name next to. And I love the Lord and I want to serve him in whatever way we can. So yay, that's me in a couple sentences.
I love it. I love it. And it's really,
I'm also stepmom. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I am a stepmom and I love the fact that I get to be a co-parent for my kids, and they are my kids. I married them. So that's a big piece of who I am also.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I've got a step parent in my life as well, who honestly is more of a step parent than the actual parent is. So, or more of a parent than the actual parent is. So I feel you on that. Yeah. And a lot of times those step parents are important. It's most of the time, right? It's, some more than others, obviously different situations, but you're 100% right. They do become your kids. I'm 100% with you there. But I was going to say, a real common trend with all of the heroes that we have on this show is that service, right? To community, to something that's higher. And I love that you said that. Now, we were talking a little bit before we got on the show about your Instagram and your social media. So tell us a little bit about your social media journey. What's that been like for you, kind of getting that started, 2016 to where you're at now?
It is painful. Oh my gosh. If you go back, and I'm on Instagram and I just started a YouTube channel, honestly 3 weeks ago, because I was struggling with Instagram and my videos. So I was like, I'm going to YouTube. So I'm not on Facebook. Facebook for me is a painful place. And so during the pandemic, I left and I have no intentions of going back. So you can find me on Instagram. And if you scroll down to the bottom of my Facebook, my Instagram feed, you will see the struggle is real, So I've done a lot of work trying to hone my craft and give content that is very valuable. The thing that you will find about every Instagram post, it starts with a scripture. And that's intentional. I want you to know, there are 2,650 scriptures in the Bible about money. And I want you to know that God cares about the other 90%. We talk about the 10%, but he cares about the other 90%. And so one of the things that I love about the journey I've had on Instagram is just being able to help people where they are, I talk on Instagram about things that are happening in our life, things that we find in our financial coaching business. We're also certified marriage coaches. Don't know if you knew that. And we became marriage coaches because as we would do financial coaching, we would find that the money wasn't really the issue. There were other things going on. Communication is a big challenge for most couples. And so we're certified to help you walk that journey. And so when you look at my Instagram feed and now YouTube, I just talk candidly about what we're seeing and what we're doing, frustration, challenges, snippets of next steps for you, things to be on the lookout for in terms of potholes that may be in your future. I like to see in my Instagram feed, I like to think of it as me looking at the 30,000 foot view while you're on the ground. So I can say, hey, Gino, watch out. There's a log that's down across the path about 30 feet in front of you, watch out, and you are so into the weeds of your life, you probably don't see that, and so that's how we use our Instagram channel, Instagram page and our YouTube channel to help people just get snippets. One of the recent videos that we put on both Instagram and YouTube that got a good number of comments was the Genesis 2:24 marriage, and people are like, what the heck is that? And what does that have to do with our money, right? And it's this whole idea around the fact that we're partners, that we budget for my Starbucks,
Right.
And what that looks like in cutting down on financial infidelity and things of that nature. So we touch the hard stuff. This is not fluffy. And I many times will talk in my videos about the fact that I don't think I'm going to get many likes or comments on this one, but I'm okay with that because my role is to put some perspective around the hard stuff. Let's have those adult conversations, right? Our kids are 19 and 21, and we're like adulting 101. We're all still in adulting 101, right, Gino?
Oh, we're trying. It never stops, does it? I mean,
It doesn't. So
Yeah.
we deal with adulting 101 on my Instagram page and my YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, and there's so much to unpack with what you just went into there. I mean, one of the things that I had on my mind that I wanted to ask you about when it comes to, and I think it's so powerful that you're using, the financials get you in, right? But we're also improving the relationship with the marriage counseling aspect. And I love that what you said there about, money is, it seems probably like that's the big problem when they come in, but not always the case. So unpack that a little bit more too. Kind of what are some of the ways, how are you getting to that, really diving into those pain points, with your clients and getting to the real truth?
Yeah. And you know what I did, this is a thread, a theme all through financial seasons, the daily devotional that I wrote back in 2018, because it is the journey that Keith and I took. And I write about those pain points. And there's one day in particular that stands out early in our journey on getting out of debt. This was easily like year one, no more than year two. So we're feeling it. It's painful. And we were intentional about putting money aside to get our car repairs done. And my husband, because, he's a protector, he's the righteous husband. He wants to be sure his family is safe. We go to the dealership. He goes to the dealership to get a car repair done. And they give a list of all these other things that need to be done. And I'm panicking, and so he comes home and he got all the repairs done. And the difference, Gino, this is the sad part. He went over the budget by $182. 10 years later, I still remember $182 because back then it was so painful. We didn't have an extra $182. So it's like, how are we going to not use debt? How are we going to, not have an overdraft in our account because we weren't using credit cards at all, and how do we get back to a place of love, in our marriage, And I tell people all the time, I did a podcast interview a couple of weeks ago, and I tell people all the time, Keith is much better at forgiving than I am. I hold on to it so much longer. And so he's much better. And he will tell you it's because I'm wife number 2. And so he's figured it out, right? And so he doesn't want it to be wrong again. And I was 43 when we got married. So I have such a single mind around everything. And we've been married for 11 years. And so I'm still learning that. And so because of that, Keith always says, game, recognize, game. We can see the areas where there might be a challenge, and we're going to lovingly call you out so that we can talk about the elephant in the room and get past it, and so becoming certified marriage coaches has equipped us, given us the tools that we need to be able to walk with couples in love. The Bible tells us to speak the truth in love. And so we still need to touch the difficult subject. We still need to deal with whatever thing that is, but it must be covered and encrusted in love in order for it to be more palatable, And so we do that in our own marriage. We're very intentional in getting past it quickly. We call them intense moments of fellowship.
I like that wording on that. Yeah, we've had some intense moments of fellowship ourselves.
Yes. So the key is to not let that escalate into a full-blown argument, right. So we just try to help couples raise awareness to the sticky points that might cause tension or keep tension close, and we just want to work through those as quickly as we can.
Yeah, and I love that you didn't say, take emotion out of it, right? Because it's not possible, especially in a marriage, right? But when we think about finances, often that's kind of, take the emotion out, right? Think about it from the dollars, right? But when you're in a marriage, that's impossible. So I love that, encrusted with love is definitely the most important thing when it comes to those things. So
well, and I'm just going to say, Gino, this is the reason Dave Ramsey endorsed our book. Because we don't take the emotion out. We do come at the need to change behavior, but how do you change behavior? It's like the client that, we dealt with a couple. This was a few years ago. She liked Botox injections. And she's like, are you going to make me take those away? I can't make you take those away. That's a conversation between you and your husband, right? And so, but he's stressed making $200,000 a year and they're still living paycheck to paycheck. So if you're going to keep the Botox injections, what goes away? And that's where that single-mindedness, we must remove the single-mindedness and come together and work as a couple so that what we're doing is beneficial to everyone. My husband does not cut my hair because he is bald and that's the only cut he knows, right? So we pay for me to get haircuts. Okay. What are we paying for him to get if I'm getting haircuts, and coffee? It's like it needs to be something where we both feel like we call it getting to a place of win-win-win. Right? Where you are, as the husband, you're winning, the wife is winning, and the marriage is winning. All three of you need to have a sense of ownership and appreciation.
I love that.
Yay.
I love that. That's so good. Now, I do want to back up a little bit to when we were talking about social media. You were talking about the likes and the follows, right?
Yes.
And kind of watching those. And I just want to put it out there really for you, and really anybody else that's listening that is concerned with that, the vanity metrics, the likes and the comments and that stuff. very rarely is that what actually moves the needle. Okay, so keep putting that stuff out there. Yeah, and anybody out there that's listening, right? Keep putting that stuff out there.
Yeah.
You know, because guess what? Your mom's gonna like it, your friends are gonna like it, right?
That
Your
is
family's
very
gonna
true.
like it
Yeah.
because they love you.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
But the
true.
people that are gonna buy from you are gonna take in that content and they may not call you the next day, right? But down
Right.
the line, you know, that video is gonna be in their head a lot like that $182, right? Especially when you're hitting them with pain points, right? And you're saying, "Hey, you're headed for this log. I see you coming," and then they step
Yeah.
on that log a little bit. Lisa
Yeah.
Jones is going to be in the back of their head. So keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing. You've,
Yeah.
I've looked at the grid. I've seen your YouTube, so it's fantastic. Keep it
Thank
going.
you.
Keep it going.
You know, to that point, Gino, you know, I get emails from people, and I get this email probably once or twice a quarter. I hear your voice in the back of my head. And I can't
so
tell
powerful.
you that I appreciate that so much more than a like or a follow, you know, because it does say that they hear, you know, I hear you is what that says. So
Absolutely.
I do want to acknowledge your point there. You're right. It isn't just about, you know, the like and the follow. Those, I didn't realize that was called a vanity metric. So
that's a word that we use anyways. But yeah, no, I mean, and it's those people, right? Like obviously you're making a change. You're getting those emails, you know, hey, you know, I thought twice about this. You know, even if they're not signing up for your services, you're still making drastic change, you know, just by having your voice in the back of their head when they're getting that coffee or you know whatever they're doing, you know. So that's so good. Now let's move on to the next question here, Miss Lisa. Now every superhero has a defining moment. What is yours when it comes to your life and career?
Oh my gosh. You know, I was talking to a friend last night, and I teach a Bible study on Monday night for women, and we were talking about social Christians. And I was sharing with her a story from my life back in 1995, Gino. Yes, I remember as if it were yesterday. I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and I was on a first date. And in that first date, I said something that I don't remember. And the guy that I was with, whose name I don't even remember now, because it was only a first date, I'm just saying. He looked at me and he said, "Oh, you're a Christian." And I panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't sure I wanted people to know. Right. And so I called myself a closet Christian because it was something I was desiring. I just wasn't sure I wanted to be out in open in the public with it. And that was a defining moment in my life. And I can call on that one today because I literally just talked about it last night. But that was the day that I just decided, you know what? You know, my guide is the Holy Spirit, and I don't care what anybody has to say about it, you know? And so when I get off kilter, like, you know, I write about this in season 1 of the book. I never asked anybody about finances when I was in my 20s and 30s and making all those mistakes. I never sought counsel. I thought, I didn't know I was supposed to. I didn't know I could. I didn't pray about major financial decisions. Oh my gosh, my life would be so different if I had done those things. But the woman that is before you now, with the life experience and the bumps and bruises and the scars, you know, both physical and emotional, those are defining moments that make me a better coach. Those are the defining moments that make me a better speaker, you know, that now I'm able to use to help whoever you might be in that, as my husband says, that game recognized game moment, you know, because you don't have to do all of the hard things that I did. Let me help you because I've been there, you know? So I would say that, you know, understanding this idea that it's okay to be open and upfront about my faith truly was the defining moment. And I have so many examples of when I didn't do that and the path that I ended up on because I didn't. And so that has shaped my life and my career in both good and bad ways when I accepted my calling and when I chose to run from it.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah, and you're 100% right. It's so important to be true to yourself, whether that's an atheist or whether that's a Christian or a Catholic or whatever that is, right? Yeah, and I mean obviously J29, we're formed after a Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11. So
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
We're real proud of that. We put that out there, right? And it's what the thing about being you is you're gonna attract the people to you that need to be in your life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So faking it until you forget it. Just be you. Put it out there.
Be authentic. It's too much work, Gino. Okay? Oh, yeah. I'm just saying.
You can't keep up with it.
Too much work. You've got to keep up with every facet of it. It's hard enough to remember who you are when you're real.
Right. Yeah. Just trying to do the next right thing. You know what I mean? That's really what. But here, when you are real, that's all that you have to keep in your head, right? Just do the next right thing, right?
Stay true to yourself. Next right thing. I love it. I love it.
Frozen there, but yeah, I got a 2 and a 5-year-old. That one gets played a lot in our house.
I bet it is.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
Wow.
Now, all heroes have attributes, right? When we look at like Marvel and DC and so on and so forth. But putting that into people, what are the attributes that you feel define a hero?
Oh, man. Consistency. You know who they are day in and day out. Even on a bad day, you still see who they are, and I'm going to go back to the marriage theme. My husband always says, when chaos is happening around you, I need you to hear my voice. Okay. That's and that only happens if we're consistent with each other. If we're consistent in how we live our lives, if we're consistent in how we love each other, our kids, as I said earlier, I'm stepmom, I married them 11 years ago. I've been consistent. They know what to expect they call me Miss Lisa. They know what to expect from Miss Lisa, right? And so it's consistency, I think, that is the primary attribute that defines a hero. You know what to expect. And you even see it like when I'm thinking the Spider-Man, when we had the Dark Spider-Man, he was so not consistent. Everybody's like, what is wrong with you? He wasn't consistent as Spider-Man and he wasn't consistent as Peter Parker. Everybody knew he was off. Something was wrong because he had been so consistent outside of that, forced into, literally alien embodiment, and so I think consistency is the biggest attribute that defines a hero. Another one is just that doggedness. You just don't give up. Now, I'm just going to say sometimes that's to a fault. I have stayed in a bad business way too long because I just didn't want to give up, but I feel like because we have that tenacity and that fortitude, people trust that we're going to give it every single ounce that we can. We're not going to waver. We're just going to continue to press through. We're going to look for every angle. We're going to turn over every rock. We need that in our heroes. We need that in our consultants. We need that in our coaches. We need that in the people that we bring in on our team so that they know that we've got their back and we're not giving up on you. Now, the caveat to that, Gino, is my philosophy, and I learned this from a business coach 20 years ago, never work harder than your client. Never work harder than
you can't want it more than them.
Cannot, Yep. So that fortitude, that tenacity is only going to be able to get as high as the client allows it to be. That doesn't mean it's not available. It's just what is the amount that's tapped in, right?
Yeah.
So consistency 100%. And fortitude, those are the two attributes I think that are the biggest definers for heroes.
I love that. Yay. I love that. That's so good. All right. Last question here for you, Miss Lisa. Now, if you had to pick one superhero that relates best to Lisa Y. Jones, who would that be? And tell us a couple reasons why.
All right, Gino. So you gave me a heads up on this one. You told me to think about it. And I was thinking. I even took it to a friend. I'm like, what do you think? I'm going with Hawkeye.
Okay.
So why? Okay. Because everybody's like, well, Hawkeye's not a girl. And
which is fine. Yeah.
Right. Okay. what I love about Hawkeye is he's not genetically modified, right? You know, he has developed and honed his craft until he is just so good. He is just so good. You know, I don't have a Harvard MBA. Who cares? I have life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so Hawkeye is he works to be Hawkeye. It doesn't come natural. It wasn't a fluke accident. You know, he has developed the skills that made him who he is. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is he understands what it means to be in a team. And that means sometimes he's leading the team and sometimes he's supporting the team. And he's okay either way. Tell me what seat you want me to sit in, and I'm going to occupy it well, right? And so Hawkeye and I have those two things in common. The next thing, Hawkeye is very family oriented in not just his own personal life, but when he's working with other people. And so that family orientation rubs off on those around him because it's such a key value for him. And that is the same for me. Not only is my family important, but I'm going to protect your family in helping you do whatever it is that your financial goals say you need to do. Notice I said it's what your financial goals said you need to do. I'm going to support that, and your family is going to be all the better for it. And so those are the three reasons that I say that if I had to be a superhero, I would want to be Hawkeye.
That makes perfect sense to me. And Hawkeye went through it too, right?
Oh,
just like
man,
very similar to you did, right? Like, I mean, you're not a 23-year-old life coach,
No.
you know, coming out here with no life experience, right? You went through all this stuff so you can kind of keep people from making those same mistakes. And I love that. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, well, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the show. How can people get a hold of you? How can they follow what you're doing? Go ahead and put your stuff out there.
Okay. At Lisa Y. Jones, LYJ. At Lisa Y. Jones, LYJ. Oh, you told me to start with LinkedIn.
Oh, you're good. We can throw up Instagram. There's the Instagram. At Lisa Y. Jones, LYJ.
LYJ, yep. And that's the same for YouTube. So YouTube and Instagram are both at Lisa Y. Jones, LYJ. And then LinkedIn, go back, Gino. There we go. All right. So Lisa Y. Jones. And look for the white glasses. If you don't see the white glasses, it's not me. I'm just saying. Okay. And just DM me from any one of those. And I'm happy to talk more about your personal financial education and literacy. Or if you're, you know, in a COO or HR or ERG role, would love to come and do some speaking at your corporation to help your team members get their financial head in the game. So that's what we're doing these days.
And get their head back in the office.
Absolutely.
Those finances are taken care of.
Yeah.
Hey, more productive for you. So.
Literally $4 billion a week is lost on lack of productivity because their minds are not thinking about work. That's crazy. That is crazy. So we need to fix that. And we're on a mission to help those employees get back to work.
Yeah. And not only with finances, right? But with the relationships as well, which is the other side of that lost productivity, right? Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, Lisa. Thank you again so much for coming on the show. You were wonderful.
Thank you, Gino.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, are we still live? Hey, guys, we're still live. Hey, guys, this is Kevin Kwok, founder of J29 Creative Group. So who are we? We're a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We're all about a holistic approach to marketing that builds your brand and nurtures online community. But to be honest with you, you guys don't care.